Hey everyone, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, click on that notification bell, like, dislike, comment, share, let us know what you're thinking. You could also follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, today on the Angel of Words podcast, I will be recommending to you my top 5 drama series that are out right now. On deck on the Angel of Words podcast. Hello, welcome to the Angel of Words podcast. I'm your host, Angel of Words, and today I'm flying solo because I had a thought. The pandemic is in full effect. The flu season approaching, and winter is coming, as they say on Game of Thrones. Now, most of us will be spending a lot more time at home than we normally do, because of the brutal weather that is ahead of us. But that doesn't mean that we cannot be entertained. And today, I am here to recommend my top 5 favorite drama series that are either on TV, cable, or new media. I actually have a little bit of a background in film and television production. I have an associate's degree from the Borough of Manhattan Community College. It may not seem much to all you guys out there, or maybe it does, but I hope it helps add to my credibility, because when I do watch film or television, especially television, I do tend to analyze it from all aspects of TV production. So, I'm glad to share a little bit of what I enjoy with you all out there, and I hope that you enjoy what I have to tell y'all. Now, I'm going to start off with my notable mentions. Number 1, Peaky Blinders. It is a show set in the UK. It is a crime drama. Excellent if you love accents, if you love period pieces. A lot of the shows that I'm going to be mentioning, would have made my top 5, but, you have to cut them down to 5. So, I have to go with the ones that have had me the most, that get me the most fiended out, to be honest with you. Now, the next show is Top Boy. It is also a show, I don't know if they're still producing it. I don't know what's going on with that, because there was a big lapse in time before they produced the second season of it. And, if I'm not mistaken, Drake was involved in producing the second season of it, which took a long lag time. But it's also a crime drama. It really takes you into the streets and the hood of modern day UK. And it's pretty dope, man. If you like accents, if you like, hearing different slangs, if you want to be taken to a different place where you're like, oh man, I didn't know they were this cool. I didn't know, they enjoy our music. I didn't know that if it's something that really takes you to a place where you're like, oh snap, man, that's crazy. Like, they're also similar to us out there in the UK. The next one is PowerBook 2 Ghost. Man, I love the fact that they kept the same opening credits. It's basically the aftermath of what happens after the aftermath of Ghost's death. I love the fact that they put Mary J and Method. I was a little apprehensive about Mary J and Method Man being a part of the series, but man, they fit in absolutely well with the cast. I love the casting of this new Power. I really do. I love the defense attorney who was at the end of, who was there, in the last season of the original Power. I'm a big fan, but it's early in the show. It's three episodes in. I wanted to actually choose shows that already have a full episode under their belt, so that's why Power Book 2 didn't make it, but it's great, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming episodes that are coming out. The next one is The Chi. Lena Waithe. Great show, man. Great show. But I'm starting to get a little, the third season isn't hitting me with that juice right now. I don't know why. It's just not hitting me. Maybe I have to rewatch it. The Chi, those first two seasons were absolutely amazing. It was a tough decision not to put my girl Lena Waithe's show in the top 5. It was tough, man. It was tough. But, it didn't make the cut. It was right there, man. It was right there. But The Chi, another crime drama, it really takes you into what's going on in Chicago. You really get a sense of society, and, it takes you to those dark places and the light places in life. The Chi is an unbelievable show, and if I do another top 5 next year, I might have to take a look into putting in the top 5, but it didn't make it this time, and I kind of feel guilty about it, but I didn't do it. Last but not least, if you are like me and you have that Game of Thrones itch that you had to scratch, you having a little bit withdrawals from the Game of Thrones situation, which is, one of my top 3 favorite shows of all time, definitely would have made the number 1 spot if it was still active. And I can't wait for House of the Dragon to premiere. But if you're having a little bit of issues scratching that itch, I recommend The Witcher. It's a fantastical journey through a mythical time. Kind of like Game of Thrones, a little bit more on the mysticism, a little bit more on the fantasy aspect. A little bit more over the top. They have magicians and things of that nature. But overall, I think it's a decent show. It'll hold you over a little bit. If you're missing Game of Thrones and you like that gothic medieval majestic type of show, fantasy. I think that you'd really enjoy The Witcher. It's pretty badass, and I like the lead character. He's pretty awesome, The Witcher. So I think you'd really enjoy watching The Witcher if that's your type of show. That's something that you're into. I highly recommend it. So those were my honorable mentions. Definitely all of those shows could have made the top 5. And when I make my top 5, it's something about my top 5 that I have withdrawals that I need to see, that I like the overall production and, including the music, the sound, the editing, all those things combined are all just gelling. They all have that chemistry. Now, my first show, drama series of my top 5, and keep in mind, these are all TVMA, so please don't watch this with your kids unless you feel comfortable, because there's a lot of subject matter that is really intense, and some parents may feel like you need to be at a certain age to understand and be emotionally educated enough and emotionally mature enough to actually watch the show. Now, my top 5 begins now. Ray Donovan. Ray Donovan started in 2013. It's a crime drama on Showtime. Man, what could I say about Ray Donovan, man. You know, a lot of people compare it to The Sopranos. I mean, I guess it's The Sopranos, but the guy doesn't really, you know, he's not really a boss. Ray Donovan, the lead actor, played by Liev Schreiber, is not the boss. You know, he's the patriarch of his family, but, you know, he works for like a, you could say like for powerful people, cleaning up messes in the for powerful people's either clients, either athletes, musicians. He's just the person that goes and fixes your problem in any way, shape, or form, leading to other problems for him and the people that he cares about the most. Now, the creator and Biderman, and she also writes on the show, one of the main writers, man, she did an amazing job. John Dahl is also one of the main directors. You know, he directed Rounders with Matt Damon and Ed Norton, which is a great film. If you haven't seen it, like, I suggest you watch it. The show is incredible. The music is great. The cinematography is fantastic, and the art direction, just the cohesion, man, between the set director, the art director, the production design, the editing is fantastic. You know, there's a lot of gruesome scenes, and you know, and in this show, there's a lot of violence on this show. You know, I kid you not. You know, the show is very graphic. So, you know, just keep that in mind. And, you know, I also want you to keep in mind that it may be one of the more politically incorrect shows out there. All the main characters are from Boston. You know, if you know anything about Boston, my people in Boston, you know, they like to speak their minds, you know, and it really is a show that it hits home, because there's a lot of things on this show that are actually themes that are prevalent right now in society. You know, you have issues with religion. You know, on the show, there's issues with with priests raping small children. There's Catholic guilt and suicide. There's abortion. You know, Boston is is known for being a very Catholic and religious area. And all those themes run rampant through the show. You know, there's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of domestic violence on the show. There's a lot of adultery on the show. And you know, and it really is a show that it's heartbreaking in a way, because it shows you how flawed humans can be, but how much we care for our families, that we would be willing to do anything for them, even though we argue with them, we fight with them. You know, family is still always gonna be there, prevalent. And, you know, Ray struggles with his father, who's played by John Voight. Mickey Donovan, who's a douchebag, is always putting Ray in all these precarious situations, always having issues with the law. While Ray's trying to fix a problem, he's making the problem even worse. You know, then he gets his brothers involved. You know, one of his brothers suffers from cerebral palsy on the show, and he fights the disease throughout the whole show. His brother Bunchy was raised by a Catholic priest, and so was Ray. So, you know, you have that dynamic of him trying to come out of, you know, Bunchy trying to come out of his shell, because, you know, he feels like it's hard for him to live with what happened to him. The show is deep, man. The show is deep. And, you know, with all those internal family issues Ray has to deal with, he also has to deal with the fact that he's being paid by all these powerful people to fix other people's problems. And then he goes home to even larger problems, And then throughout the show, all these problems, they intertwine and just create just one of the most dramatic shows that are out on TV. Steve Bauer also, I don't know if you know who that is. He played Manolo in Scarface. He's also on the show. He's Ray's right-hand man in the beginning of the show. You obviously got to watch the drama that ensues with him throughout the course of the show. It's a lot of seasons in, so if you're a binge watcher, you're going to enjoy it because you'll have a lot of episodes to watch. So I highly recommend Ray Donovan. If you're a fan of shows that push the envelope, which I am, I like subject matter that makes you cringe. I like to see how people deal with the unfairness, the crassness of life, and how they try to turn the negatives into a positive. I like those kind of dramas, those kind of shows that push the envelope. Now, my next show that I love, number 4, Euphoria. Euphoria is the show for Gen Zers. It is all about that Gen Z life. It deals with what we all are trying to analyze in today's society, with what's going on with the Gen Z generation and the opioid crisis and the drug culture, the evolved drug culture of the youth that they seem to have to be enduring. Not all of them, but there's a lot of these things happening in the subculture of America where there's a lot of lost kids. And Zendaya, the main character, encompasses all of that. She is such a complex character. She is the lead character. She is able to really to put that show on her back and carry it. Man, the way the lighting is structured on that show, the cinematography is absolutely spectacular. It really is a credit to Marcel Rev, who's the lead cinematographer on the show. Absolutely brilliant job, because the lighting on the show really takes you through the moods that all these young kids are experiencing. Living in a small town, dealing with the empty feelings and broken homes, and wanting to fit in school and with their friends, and being bullied and being harassed, and the culture now and the new culture of the way that kids romantically engage with one another. I love shows like this that give you a picture, because, not all of us are in our early 20s, late teens. We can adapt to culture, but we don't create that culture. And on this show, on Euphoria, it really takes you into the culture, the mind, of the Gen Z, or the way they romantically approach one another with like videos and sexting and salacious situations. And it's something that as a parent, that's scary. So, if you're a parent, I really would recommend you watch this show, because it really gives you a perspective into the way that kids are behaving right now. Just the whole culture of it. And I feel like the creator, Sam Levinson, really takes you there. It makes you feel like you're a 19-year-old living in today's society. And the music, the soundtrack to that show is absolutely spectacular. It really engages you. It makes you feel. You want to cry. You know, these kids having issues with their parents and not being able to understand one another. There's so many issues that are happening on that show between parents not being able to relate to their children. You know, and I feel like that show really does a poignant job of trying to showcase what children and early 20s kids are dealing right now in today's society with all the technology changing so rapidly. The cancel culture, the blocking culture, the being obsessed with likes culture, the tech culture, you know? Kids trying to find themselves. Are they who they are? Or are they what technology is telling them that they want to be? And that is the beauty of Euphoria. And it's so apropos that they call the show Euphoria, because the show makes you feel like you're in a euphoric state from the first episode on in. And, you know, you have kids doing things that they don't want to do, sacrificing their integrity, making decisions that could affect the rest of their lives forever, you know? And then you have adults that are just plain old pedophiles on the show. And, you know, it's only in the first season, but all the drama that's ensuing, it's a very graphic show. You see, you know, the pedophilia on screen, and it's very intense. So if you're not into that kind of progressive a show, you know, I recommend that you don't watch it. But if you really want to get a sense of children trying to fight the void that is inside because they don't know what they want to do with their lives, and they're feeling so much pressure from social media and the want to be accepted. If you really want to see that pain, if you really want to connect to your kids and try to see things from their perspective, you know, if you have late teenagers, early 20-somethings, I suggest you watch the show, you know. I actually came from a wake where a child who was 20 years old passed away, and it was so sad to see his friends just say, man, I wish I was there for you during your emotional distress. I wish that I could have been there. I'm sorry that I blocked you. I'm sorry that I canceled you. I'm sorry that I didn't pay more attention to you. I'm sorry that I didn't respond to your texts. These are serious things that kids are dealing with, you know? Unfortunately, you know, not everyone is able to find the passion or find a purpose in life. You know, and it's just like any other era. You turn to drugs, and then all of a sudden your world spirals out of control. But unfortunately now, you know, a lot of the drugs that are being taken are actually legal drugs that these kids don't know the potency of. And, you know, Euphoria really takes you down that road. And if you want to go down that road, if you want to connect with your kids, if you really want to watch something that's gonna awaken a sense of reality in your brain, you know, as a Gen Zer, as a parent, or as a millennial, you know, or a baby boomer grandparent, you know, if you're willing to take a risk on something, you know, this intense, then I suggest you watch Euphoria. It's on HBO. My next show is a brilliant show created by Brian Koppelman, David Levian, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. It's on Showtime, started in 2016. We're talking about Billions. I absolutely love Billions because of the power struggle between the character Chuck Rhodes and Bobby Axelrod. That will never get old for me. It just will never get old. The power of money versus the power of government. And what makes it so intense is that they both rely on Chuck Rhodes' wife, who was also the psychiatrist of Bobby Axelrod's company on the show. And she's the one that deals with all his subordinates and you know, makes them, gets them pumped up whenever they're feeling down and their trades are not being lucrative and they're going off the deep end. She's the one that keeps them all intact, but she's also the one that keeps Bobby Axelrod and Axe Capital intact and Chuck Rhodes intact, her husband. The show really shows the intensity of the government when they want to get someone who they think is a criminal and who's cheating the system, who's doing insider trading. You really gain a grasp of how vital in, you know, hedge funds and investment firms and banks and all these companies that deal with you know, in investing billions and millions of dollars, how cutthroat, how absolutely despicable people can be, and how low they're willing to go for that dollar. On billions, you see how government is willing to sacrifice you know, small ponds to get to the big fish. And when they feel they can't get to the big fish, how they do not mind just going after other people. And Chuck Rhodes isn't that type of guy. His man is Bobby Axelrod, and he will do anything within his power to try to take him down and show the world that he is a snake and someone who is cheating the system, who's trading illegally and who's making his funds in a dark and illegal manner. I mean, their chemistry, the casting on that show was absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, and it's done by Allison Estrin, who also did the casting for Captain America and Civil War. She was involved in that. The cinematography is amazing by Jake Polanski. You know, shout out to them, and the art director, the set director, Christopher Minard, Christina Tunkin Noble, Eric Damon. Like, they do just a sensational job of taking you into these lavish lifestyles that you would never fathom in your whole entire life. It really shows you what the haves and have-nots are dealing with, and just the stark lives, the stark difference in lives that they live. And, you know, it's also interesting because Chuck Rhodes' father is actually an investment banker. You know, he's an investment guy, you know, so he's he's also trying to get his son to pull favors for him, and and their dynamic is great because they're always fighting with each other because one is trying to be good and the other one is all about business and the bottom line. Chuck Rhodes is into S&M hardcore, And that is something that he's always trying to keep hidden on the show. And his wife is one of his dominatrix, but he also cheats on his wife with other dominatrix, which causes conflict within their relationship. And they're always going back and forth about that. You know, Bobby Axelrod is kind of a misogynist. He's just the most competitive character that there is on any show I've ever seen. Just the drive of that man and how much he would do to get what he wants is just unbelievable. I haven't seen a character like that in a really long time. Billions also has the first non-binary character in television history. The first gender non-binary character in television history, played by Asia Kate Dillon, and her character on the show is Taylor Mason. Man, like when I grow up again, man, I want to be Taylor Mason, man, and I want to be as pragmatic and as smart as her. Taylor Mason made me reevaluate my whole life. Every time she speaks, she's, you know, anything she says, I'm always Googling it. She talked about quantitative analysis and quant analysis. It's mathematical finance. Like, this show is just so smart. It takes you there politically. The writing is absolutely impeccable. And I love the language of the show. It is absolutely stunning. The way the stories that the characters tell, the way they communicate with one another. It is just a beautifully written show that makes you want to Google everything they're talking about. It's a show that you learn about things you never even knew existed, and that world of finance that is you know, it is America. It is American culture. You know, the stock market is American culture. It's one of the most important things in the world. It's capitalism, baby. It's billions. And the government trying to regulate it. If you like politics versus money, this is the show for you. I guarantee you would enjoy Billions, and it's another show that it has a lot of seasons. So if you feel like binge watching, by all means, you know, the characters are brilliant. They're funny. There's a lot of there's comedy on the show as well, because that's what I appreciate about all 5 of these shows that I'm mentioning. There's a lot of the chemistry between the characters is so great, and the writing is so great that they when they throw in that comedy, it's funny as hell. You know, so, you know, I suggest you go watch Billions. It is fire. It will teach you about finance, and it will open up your mind, and you learn things about money and investing, and, you know, it might even help you, you know, make a buck or two, you know, because you might get so interested that you start looking up all the jargon that they speak of, and all the tactics that they use on the show to make their millions and their billions. Now, my next show on my top 5, it's a show on TBS, actually, that I cannot get enough of. I love the characters and the chemistry so much. It is Queen of the South, La Reina del Sur, an adaptation of La Reina del Sur, which is a novela in Spanish. It's also a book written by Arturo Perez Reverte. This show is absolutely spectacular from beginning to end. It feels sometimes like you're watching the movie Taken, and it's funny because the editor Matthew Phillip Smith from Taken is the editor on this show. This show is fast-paced. It's moving from beginning to end. And I just want to let everybody know who may think that this show is a Spanish-only show. No, it is not. The show is in Spanglish, mostly, I would say 85% English. from beginning to end. Teresa Mendoza is that woman. I love the themes of feminism. I love the themes of never quitting, never saying no, coming from the gutter, and establishing a humongous foundation against all the odds in the universe as a woman, as a boss, turning enemies into your friends, making deals with your enemies. Oh my God, the show was absolutely fantastic. Teresa Mendoza, played by Alice Braga. Oh my God, absolutely sensational actress. Hemke Madera, who plays Pote, her right-hand man. I'm not gonna give the show away, but let's just say it wasn't always like that. The transition from their beginning to him becoming a right-hand man is absolutely worth watching all unto its own, because it's absolutely insane. The show is, is TVMA, but it's on the softer side because it is on TBS. So don't be too scared. Steve Bauer is also on the show. Manolo's on the show. He plays El Santo in one of the seasons, a great character. One of my favorite characters is Ryan Onan, King George. Oh my God, adds such a spice to the show, such a diversity. And that's what I really enjoy about all 5 of these shows. There is a lot of diversity on each and every one of the shows that I'm talking about. All cultures are represented. There are no stereotypes really on any of these shows. They cast effectively. They got in my opinion, on all 5 of these shows, they've casted the best actors to play the roles, and it really is, I enjoy the hell out of it. And especially Queen of the South. Queen of the South does not stop moving. It's a little, weird sometimes for me because, a lot of the great Latin shows are always, I feel like, are based on the drug trade in some way, shape, or form. But honestly, I love the fact that Teresa wants to build a legitimate business. This is not what she wants to do. And she endures so many trials and tribulations. The show is shot in so many different locations. Every season, they move to a new location. The fashion on the show is absolutely impeccable. It's remarkable. They're always making sure that everybody looks as fresh as possible. The actors, the way the chemistry is so amazing. The casting was absolutely phenomenal, man. Shout out to Libby Goldstein, who also did the casting for True Blood and Homeland. Shout out to Junie Lowry, who also did the casting for True Blood and Desperate Housewives, and all those shows I just mentioned right there all have sensational casting. There's nothing, casting is very underrated because when you cast great, you have great chemistry within the actors, and that makes up for any lack of directing, any lack of writing. But there is absolutely nothing missing on this show. The creators, M.A. Fortin, Joshua John Miller, they do a great job. They have Eduardo Sanchez, who directed a lot of the episodes. He did the Blair Witch Project, and I just love the way that the show is so fast-paced. It never stops moving. There's never a dull moment. Drama comes out of nowhere. The music is impactful and suspenseful and captivates you. It's riveting. Queen of the South is one of the best shows that I've seen in quite some time. Like, it's one of those shows that I can't wait to come back, and I always wait for it to go on Netflix because it's hard for me to wait for the commercials on TBS. So, just keep that in mind. It is on TBS. You're going to have to deal with commercials. But man, it is really worth it to me to deal with the commercial. And that's saying a lot. And it's set in modern times. So many different people, so many different nationalities. It's a really elaborate look into the drug trade from beginning to end, and the politics involved, the politicians involved behind it. It is it's just sexy. It's a sexy show, man. I don't know how else to explain it. Watch Queen of the South. You won't regret it. It's sensational. Now, last but not least, the number one show I think everybody should watch, and it is new. It's a 2020 show, 2019, 2020 show. A lot of people are going to hate me for putting such a new show as the number one show. But when it comes to pushing the envelope, yo, and that's what I love, pushing the envelope, putting things on screen that you've never seen before or that you haven't seen in such a raw manner. And yes, I'm talking about P-Valley, and I'm going to keep it P-C and PG, but this show is TVMA. It's a crime drama on Stars. Stars, you did it again. You have two absolutely sensational, remarkable shows going on right now. You're pushing the envelope with P-Valley. Oh my God. Can we talk about Uncle Clifford and Lil Murda and that love affair that is happening between those two in a within the lifestyle of hip hop, which is extremely misogynistic, extremely homophobic, within its lyrics. And you see this love affair, between someone that's fronting to be heterosexual and has absolutely fallen in love with, someone from the LGBT community. And that dynamic is something I've never seen that way before, and that raw and that in your face. The show is... What's so great about the show is that there is a bunch of nudity. Hello, it's a show about a owner of a strip club, trying to keep a strip club and strippers trying to make it in life and pursue dreams and things of that nature. There's obviously other storylines involved. Especially with a character called Haley, whose stripper name is Autumn Night, who is super mysterious almost throughout the whole show, which is a great dynamic. I actually enjoy that because you want to know, what's going on with this girl. It really keeps you intrigued and it helps move the show along. But, the beauty of the show is that the acting is so great that after the first 15 minutes of watching the first episode, you forget that these girls are naked, and there's drama, there's salacious activity, there's it takes place in the deep south, so you have the dynamic between the black people and white people and people who are mixed in between. You see misogyny. You see the way that women, in that atmosphere are about the bottom line, just like the men are and the women are in Billions, about making those trades, and doing it literally either illegally on the cusp of it being illegal. You also have that in this show, you know what I'm saying? With the strippers doing things that aren't ethical, but they're out there, they're trying to make something of themselves. All these strippers are trying to fight demons, and but the demons that they're trying to fight are really, they hit home. We all want to be loved by our parents. We all don't want to suffer or want to see people suffer through domestic violence. And this interracial domestic violence, there's just so much going on that show. It moves so rapidly that before you know it, you're already done binge watching all 8 episodes. If I'm not mistaken, there's 8 episodes. I say about 45-minute runtime on each one. and just the music, the soundtrack the soundtrack to that show is probably one of the best soundtracks to a show that I've heard in quite some time. It keeps the show moving, it's relevant to the show. The cinematography is absolutely amazing and it puts you in different moods. You know, so shout out to Nancy Schreiber, Richard J. Violette, and you know, also Reza Safania and Matthew Head. They do a great job with the music and the cinematography. The show writing is so excellent because it's hard to pull off a show me being around. It's hard to pull off a show when you're using a lot of the slang from that area. You know, when a lot of your show is based on the way people talk, or the slang that they use normally within that region, wherever it is, it's hard to pull that off. You know, it's hard to get actors who are authentic enough to pull that off. And man, like watching P-Valley, I feel like I'm in the deep, dirty South. Like I am there. Like I am living vicariously through these actors. And that is the great thing about all 5 of the shows that I've mentioned, that you live vicariously through these actors. The language is so amazing in all 5 of the shows. If you feel like you're there. You feel like you're them. You know, you feel like you're a affluent billionaire when you watch Billions. You know, it just changes your swag it changes your mindset when you're watching it. You know, the same thing with P-Valley. P-Valley is so it's just entertaining. And that's what you want from a show. You want entertainment. But you also want to deep down into your innermost emotion, your innermost thoughts. You want to be provoked mentally. You want to feel intrigued. You want to be captivated. You want to be riveted. You want to feel it in your soul what the characters are going through. You know, and in P-Valley, you don't want any of those girls to strip anymore as you're watching the show. You like really fall in love with their backstories, and you're like, damn, I hate the fact that you don't like or you don't want to do what it is that you're doing anymore because you want to, or you're doing what you're doing because you want a better life for yourself, and things are always dragging you back because when you're in those kind of underground toxic jobs, you always feel like something's holding you back. Like some form of toxicity, some drama, somebody else's drama is always holding you back. And that is a struggle that we always have as humans, that sometimes things hold us back, or we feel that things are holding us back. And, you know, and that show, I hope that as the show progresses and as it matures, that, I hope to see a lot of the people that are on the show win and actually reach the goals that they want to reach and win. You know, get to the level and acquire the things that they want to acquire. I love the music on the show. I absolutely love how fast it moves, how great the acting is, the chemistry between all the actors. I mean, and that's what I enjoy about all 5 shows. If you want to see chemistry, if you want to see great writing, if you want to learn something, if you want your brain to start firing on all cylinders, if you want to watch shows that make you Google things and make you want to learn things and make you want to connect with people, you got to watch Ray Donovan. You got to watch Queen of the South, Billions, Euphoria, P-Valley. Not all in that order, but watch them in the order that you want to watch them. And I hope that I have given you a little something to think about and something to look forward to during these winter months that we'll be dealing with the pandemic, flu season, and just try to keep ourselves healthy. Everybody out there, stay safe. and take care of yourselves. Thank you. Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my top 5 drama series that are out right now. So if you can, go catch them. You could also catch me at Angel of Words ENT on YouTube. Catch me at Angel of Words Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know what I'm doing on my social media, catch me at Angel of Words ENT, all one word. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Talk to you later.